Now, my next guest, Amy Wilson, is a blogger. She's an author. She's taken difficult experiences she's been through, created an amazing platform initially just to kind of support herself and help herself. But now she supports millions of people online with updates on her journey, what she's learned along the way. The blog is called I'm Not Disordered, which was started after she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, a diagnosis that has since been removed from her records. And she's gone on to start another charity, another project rather, Gracie's Way. So we thought, wouldn't it be good to chat to Amy? Amy, welcome back. You and I haven't chatted in 7 years.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
And at the time, I had 500,000 followers.
And now
I'm
how
now
many?
on 3.1 million.
I can't believe that's happened.
Yeah.
I was when I knew you were coming in, I was having a look at everything that you've been doing, and it is just phenomenal. So for people that might know you, might not know you, Amy, and not follow you, just tell us a little bit about how this all began and your journey, because you had to go through an awful lot to get here.
Yes, something I'm absolutely amazed by from yourselves is that you're happy for me to talk about this kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's
because
important.
I just think it's important for raising awareness and to encourage people to seek help.
Yeah, and we always say that if this is a difficult conversation, and you know we tackle all sorts of subjects from suicide to all sorts of things, attempted suicide, etc. So, you know, it's important that we do talk about these things.
So when I was 15, I started being sexually abused by somebody in a position of power and trust. It lasted for 6 months, and there was an incident of rape on one occasion during those 6 months. For the following 2 years, I tried all the coping strategies I could think of to get through it and to cope with the memories of it. And he obviously denied things, so you know there wasn't really much justice in it when I reported it. And then I made my first suicide attempt in 2009. And because at that point nobody really knew what had happened to me, everybody was so concerned. So I was sectioned straight away to a psychiatric hospital. And for the following 3 years, my record showed over 60 admissions to both medical and psychiatric hospitals in those 3 years.
Oh, Amy, that must have been so traumatising.
It was, yes. I'm a huge believer that psychiatric hospitals aren't always the safest places, and they're often sort of portrayed that way, but it can be incredibly difficult being an inpatient. So in 2012, I made another suicide attempt, and I ended up on life support that time. When I came round, I was transferred to a specialist hospital for personality disorders, and that was absolutely life-saving. I was in there 2.5 years, sectioned. But it saved my life. I did therapy for the entire 2.5 years. I had dialectical behaviour therapy. Yeah,
which I learnt about. We did a mental health week, and we kind of did a deep dive into all sorts of mental health conditions, because I think it's far too easy to just say mental health. My goodness me, there are so many different specifics and different treatments and a lot of things that are treatable. And we talked about the dialectical. So just tell people what that is.
So there's 4 modules to dialectical behaviour therapy. It's the recommended treatment for somebody with a personality disorder. And the modules, watch me remember them, mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness, relationships, and distress tolerance. And for each module, you're given sort of new coping skills. And my favourite bit was actually we got lots of homework from it to sort of write up the skills you've used and when and everything like that. And it was just absolutely fundamental for my recovery, that therapy.
And do you know what's really lovely as well is that it's very hopeful for people to hear that there is a chance of hope and there is a chance of recovery, because there are very, very scientifically backed, you know, rigorously tested therapies that work.
Yes. Yeah, a difficult experience I had once was there was an error with my medication, my antipsychotic medication. And to get it reinstated, a psychiatrist said research studies show that people with your diagnosis don't benefit from it. So she was refusing to prescribe it, even though it had been helpful.
Yeah, that's
And I
hard.
had the attitude, I wasn't involved in that research study, so why is it being applied to my care?
Yeah.
And then obviously talking about personality disorder, the diagnostic criteria was at least 5 out of 9 symptoms. When I was diagnosed, I had all 9.
Can you talk to us about some of that for people that might want to hear about that? Because I know that obviously you write it all on the blog, but for people that might be listening now.
So personality disorder, typically people are diagnosed after traumas, affecting sort of the way they interact with people. And some of the key symptoms are around irrational anger, fear of abandonment, even if it's sort of an unfounded fear, self-harm, suicide attempts, There's a lot, like, there's all sort of 9. And then when you mentioned about not having the diagnosis anymore, I petitioned to have a review for it a few years ago, and they ruled that I only have 1 symptom left. So I don't meet the criteria anymore. So I've recovered.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. When I first found out about the diagnosis, it was in a discharge summary and nobody told me anything about it. And I asked a nurse and she said, I don't want to give you that label yet because people don't recover from it and no services will help you because people don't get better.
And that's a scary thing to hear, and not the right thing to hear, because you can get better. I think the thing is, it's within the name of it as well. It's a strange name because it is very personal to talk about somebody's personality and to say that you are disordered. But they actually don't refer to it as that anymore, do they? Isn't it emotionally unstable personality? It's still got a disorder to it, but it's different.
But the irony there was, I feel quite certain that everybody's problem with the name was personality, not the borderline bit.
I would imagine
that's what they've changed. So it's almost like...
Or the disorder bit. But I suppose it's something which does disorder your life, like obsessive compulsive disorder or any of these disorders.
Absolutely.
So you start writing the blog, I'm Not Disordered. Why did you start writing it?
So after the attempt in 2012, when I went into the specialist hospital, it was actually in Bradford, and I'm from Northumberland, so it was over 100 miles away from my mum. It was very difficult, and I was there about 6 months before I had a one-to-one with a key nurse. Little shout out to Debbie there. We had a one-to-one and we talked about me writing notes for the staff about the trauma that I'd gone through, because I found it easier to write than to say things sometimes. And just from there, I started the blog. The aim with the title, I'm Not Disordered, is to show that just because someone has a diagnosis, that's not all they are. That's not a definition of them. It shouldn't be.
Absolutely. And not just for the perception from outside, but also for them as a person. You don't want to be, I suppose, your whole life led by a disorder. You are more than that, much more than that. And that's important to remember, isn't it?
Yes. And I work with an organisation called... I feel like I'm doing lots of plugs here.
That's all right. You plug away. This is your moment.
Thank you. I worked with an organisation called Way Through, and something they're amazing at is involving service users. And the huge recognition they give is to see that a service user has more skills and qualities and experience, and even so far as career, because I've become the volunteer content lead for the charity.
That's amazing.
And it means the world to me that they've recognised my skills and that I'm not just a case number, which sometimes it can...
Do you have a lot of empathy and understanding, do you think, because you've been through the difficult time?
Empathy
with other people, just generally?
Yes. Something I really struggle with my blog is I get around 30 to 40 emails a day, and probably 70% are disclosing a similar experience to do with sort of rape and abuse, and that's incredibly hard to read. And I think the main sort of moral dilemma has been when they voiced that they haven't reported it to the police, but they've told me, and I've felt in a really hard position.
That's difficult.
But I do try and look at it as I'm not alone in what's happened to me. I try and, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but at least it means I'm not alone there.
And now 3 million, over 3 million people.
Yes.
Could you ever have imagined that would have happened when you began on this journey?
No, absolutely not. I actually remember there was a girl in the specialist hospital that I was really close to. We were really well bonded, and she helped design the blog in the very beginning. And when it reached its first 100 readers, she and I were 2 bedrooms apart in the ward, and we both came running out in the corridor and were screaming and jumping up and down. And the staff thought that we were kicking off. So everybody came running down, and we were like, no, it's the blog. But a greatest statistic I've had is it took my first 2 years to reach 100,000 readers. I now get over that in 1 month.
My goodness me. Amy, it's absolutely amazing. And you've written 2 books as well.
Yes.
So tell us very briefly about those.
So one is called Everything Disordered, and that's a practical guide to creating a blog, because I'm very passionate about how much that's sort of helped my life. I'd like to think that it could help other people.
So it's helped you personally by sharing, and then you helping other people has probably helped you as well.
It has, yes. Something I've always held on to was and I think it shows how much it means to me, because it was 2017 and I still remember it. I did a blog post about coping with different stages of reporting abuse and rape to the police. So like video interviews and written statements. And a reader who I've no idea who she is. I've never met before. She got in touch and she said because of that post, she reported what had happened to her
My goodness
because
me.
she felt like she had the coping skills now and the advice and the empathy, which I think is a key thing in mental health, is empathy and validation.
People listening to you.
Yeah.
Well, how incredible. And of course, now you've gone on to start another project, which we're going to talk about in 2 ticks.
Okay.
If you have just joined us, I'm chatting to Amy. And if you want to find Amy's blog, you can find it at I'm Not Disordered. You just put that in, don't you?
Yeah,
and you
it's literally www.imnotdisordered.org.
Yeah.
But if you Google I'm Not Disordered, my blog is like the first 5 pages.
It is
of
indeed.
Google.
It is indeed, because I've looked. Yeah.
So you can't avoid it.
You
really.
can't avoid it.
You'll find it.
We're going to chat more about Gracie's Way in 2 ticks.
Yeah.
A little bit more about misconceptions and about how other people can kind of help if somebody is going through this or going through a diagnosis. It is BBC Radio Newcastle. It's the sound of the North East. We've also